Hey all, Thralls Metal again, Necrotic Nick,
Jam and John.
and this is the video where we disagreed on our favorite albums of 2018. So we're going to go over ones that were on our personal top 25 list that weren't mutual ones. So I have 8 albums here.
And I have 6 actual hard copies and one that I still haven't been able to get a hold of.
So I will start off, and my first one is High on Fire, Electric Messiah. And I'm a huge High on Fire fan, and this is, once again, another killer album from him. A proper tribute to Lemmy, too, with the title track. It just feels like a Lost Motorhead song, except with High on Fire's extra gritty production. Also, a couple of longer songs in here this time that were just exceptionally doomy and fucking heavy as balls. Matt Pike really just doesn't disappoint here lately. They've been on a hell of a ride for quite a few albums now. So, yep, that was one of mine.
All right. One of mine, I'm going to start with a band called Arstidir. Title of the album is Nivalis, we believe. It's on Seasons of Mist, this is not a typical album for Seasons of Mist by any means, because it's not really a metal album.
Not at all.
They're from Iceland. It's really just atmospheric, clean, pretty. I don't even know what to call it, to be honest.
There's touches of folk on it and like
Yep.
80s synthwave stuff. It's just a really awesome blend of songs.
It reminds me of kind of like Catatonia's acoustic stuff, but more more just kind of atmospheric. Really pretty vocals. It's a pretty album. Again, it's not metal, but it's a killer. It's a killer listen. If you're a fan of more laid back atmospheric records that again still have, it's got like a rock moment or two. Just a pretty album. Really shocked the shit out of me when I heard it, and it's a beautiful listen. Definitely check out Arstidir.
I love it as well. It just didn't make the list because it wasn't very metal. I wanted to keep things pretty metal, but I love that album too.
Yep.
All right. My next one is Hooded Menace, Ossuarium Silhouettes Unhallowed. That is a fucking mouthful. This is probably the best Death Doom album I've listened to in a long time. It is as crushing, heavy as possible for a Death Doom album, but also fiercely melodic. Parts of it remind me of earlier Opeth, except just a touch slower, obviously, because it's Death Doom. This is such a fantastic album. Honestly, this is probably one of their best ones, and I love their early stuff. But this is definitely a move more towards the melodic, but it does not sacrifice any heaviness at all. This just pummels you at a very slow pace.
And I enjoyed it too, just didn't make my list. It's a killer listen, though.
Yeah. Some of Finland's finest.
All right, next for me comes a personal favorite of mine. I got introduced to these guys back in 2016 for their release Affinity, the band Haken, with Vektor. Haken is, in my opinion, kind of the epitome of what prog should be, especially in today's day and age. Long, well-written, polyrhythmic parts. All over the map for these guys. The vocals for this band are just insane. We saw these guys last year.
Like it's awesome how it can be very traditionally prog. Like they're big fans of bands like Yes, Rush, Gentle Giant, but it's also new and adventurous. There's lots of interesting scattered electronics, even kind of dubsteppy moments.
Yeah.
But it all works.
Haken's Vektor. Check out this album. Check out really everything before it. Check out Haken if you've never heard him.
If you love prog.
Fucking amazing.
Horrendous Idol. This is one of the on one of their best albums, and I think this is one of the big surprises of this year. This instantly reminded me of Death, circa like spiritual healing, moving on to Human. This is pure 90s adventurous death metal, and it has just killer riffs, crushing solos, thrashier moments. There's even some clean vocals. They have 2 vocalists in this. One of them has more of a traditional thrash bark, and the other guy has kind of like the Asphyx, real dry, crusty fucking vocals, and Dude, this is just a killer album. Once again, another one that was on Season of Mist too, which they had a fantastic year. Strongly recommend this. This is such a good album.
Next in line for me would be the new Ingested, The Level Above Human. I'm a pretty big Ingested fan. I haven't been a fan of the slam death, but if I had to pick a slam death band I could definitely get into, it would be Ingested. What you hear on this album is easily equaled by what you hear live. This record for them too, they kind of stepped a little bit out of the slam death and kind of gave a little bit more of like a cooler groove-oriented death metal approach.
There's definitely some melodic moments on there that are really good too.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of stepped it up as far as their songwriting style is concerned. There's a lot of things on this album I don't think that you hear on other Ingested albums, such as groovy kind of proggy moments and parts.
Cleaner guitar tones.
Yep.
It's not the standard chug and fucking, mosh sort of slam thing at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it still has moments, and I could see where this album would be a little divisive for slam fans. But, I see growth with these guys. I really dug this album. It just didn't quite make it.
Yep. Good shit.
Good shit. Khemmis Desolation. This is probably the best Doom album I listened to all year. And once again, these songs, super long on this, too. But an awesome balance of harsh and clean vocals. This is some of the best clean vocals I heard on any album this year. This guy really has a strong voice. And tons of awesome riffs, catchy songs. Mm-hmm. The song Isolation, in particular, probably the shortest track on here, but I mean, that could almost work as a radio single, to be honest. Great band. We saw them live, open up for Enslaved and Wolves in the Throne Room, and they absolutely crushed. And I've been a fan of these guys all the way back to their 2 previous albums. This is more of a step, like, it's Doom, but it's also bits of traditional heavy metal in there, too, so if you like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, there's definitely moments of that in this too. Strongly recommend this one as well. Khemmis Desolation.
For me, next in line, Obscura's new one, Diluvium. Yep, good, man. Obscura has always been kind of, when Necrophages took a dive, they kind of tried to rebirth it with Obscura. And Obscura, I don't know, it never quite stacked up against Necrophages in my opinion, but really heavy, really techy, and they got a little bit better, definitely with the production on this album.
Songwriting was on par too.
Yep, a lot better. The snare drum for these guys, I never really dug.
It felt very light.
The recording of the drums, but they definitely just kicked everything up, and it's tech death. It's melodic tech death. It's about as melodic tech death as it gets. And this record is no.
There's definitely some cynicky moments in that too.
Mm-hmm.
I really dig. Like, I didn't really care for their last one before this,
I didn't either.
This is a welcome return to form. This is probably as close to Cosmogenesis as I've heard.
Yep, and I dug the shit out of that album.
That's pretty much the one that sold me on the band.
Yep, that's what got me into them. But this record is a good next in line for that. So check out the new Obscura.
Necrophobic, Mark of the Necrogram. This is one of the best blackened death metal bands on the planet, and this album is a return to form. Their last album was a little overly produced. This one just stripped it down and just did what they did well, crushing melodic blackened death metal. Super catchy songs. Zarbama, I absolutely loved it. There's every song on this was fantastic, well produced, very atmospheric, and just loaded with everything you love out of both of those genres. Killer album, recommend it. Jam the fuck out of this one.
Next in line would be Psycroptic's As the Kingdom Drowns. Waited a while for a new Psycroptic release. After 3 years, they came back with another blazing album. Psycroptic is always well known for their just killer guitar work.
The guitar work is insane on there.
Their drummer's nuts. There's a lot of, again, they kind of brought a little bit more to the table with this album. It's definitely got, again, some groovier moments, which I see making a return in death metal.
Yeah.
In fact, in tech death, I see them going not so much for just straightforward blast beats all the time, which is great. I'm not saying that's bad about tech death, but it seems like the song structure for albums, and of course Psycroptic's no slouch on that. The song structure nowadays for tech death bands seems to be making a reappearance as a little bit more intricate.
I thought it was a tad overproduced. That was one of the reasons why I didn't have it on here, but it's a great album. Once again, those guys really don't have a bad album, to be honest. Nocturnal Graves, Titan. This is a black and death metal band from Australia, and once again, if you like black and death metal, there's like a touch of thrash in this too, which makes it a little bit more accessible. There's a lot of songs that reminded me of Sodom, just mixed up with like Immortal. It's really fantastic writing, thrashy, chuggy, lots of groovy parts too. So I mean, you could really get just sucked into these songs. Awesome band. And I can't wait to hear more from these guys now. They're on a larger label because their earlier stuff was kind of hard to find and roughly recorded, but still really good. So, Nocturnal Graves, Titan, jam this shit.
The next one I have in line, actually, this is the one I don't have the album for because I've had a rough time kind of finding it. Kind of underground. Actually, I found this band before I bought the new Aborted. I was jamming on Spotify, and every time I jam bands on Spotify, I try to go through and find, you know, what Spotify's recommendation is for bands that kind of sound like what I'm jamming. And a band I found while jamming the new Hate Eternal, as a matter of fact, was a band called Anachronism. The title of the record is Orogeny. Heavy as all get out. Reminds me a lot of like early Morbid Angel, kind of along the lines of like the Covenant era. It's got some Gojira moments to it. It's got some Iron Dissonance moments to it. It's just heavy, crushing, brutal death metal. Awesome drums. The guitar work is super crunchy. Not a lot in the lead department, but I mean, like not all, in my opinion, not all death metal bands have to have a lot in the lead department. These guys are just disgustingly heavy. Definitely definitely check them out again. Called Anachronism. The title of the record is Orogeny, and like the third track on this album, Aware of This Descent. That song is the shit. Listen to it.
I don't have a physical copy of this one either. I didn't get a chance to jam it, so it wouldn't be fair for me to put it on my list.
Right.
But
it's on mine, and it's good. So good job, guys. All right.
This one, actually, I had to wait. I'm glad I waited to do this video because I got this in the mail. This is Outre Necrovortex. And this is some of the most kick-ass shit I've heard come out of Quebec in a while. This is straight up entombed worship, death metal. I fucking love it. There's a touch of crust punk to this. Everything is in French or Quebecois.
Quebecois?
Yeah. And it's just nasty riffage, left to right. Great songwriting. It kind of reminds me, there's like a bit of a thrash element to it. It kind of reminds me of like the first time I jammed Power Trip's last album. It was just raw energy, tons of fucking fun. I don't even care that the lyrics are all in French. It doesn't really matter. I know they're talking about corpses and shit. So, it's death metal. It fucking rules. I can't wait to fucking see these guys live.
For sure. All right, last in line, at least for me, is the new Revocation, the Outre ones. I love the dog shit out of this album. I've jammed this album, I think, every day since it's come out. First of all, I'm a giant Revocation fan anyway.
Same here.
Perfect match, in my opinion, of like thrash and speed tech death metal. First of all, the guitarists for this band deserve a medal. These motherfuckers know how to play their guitars.
Dave Davidson's truly exceptional. He's a riff guy as much as he is a lead guy.
Yep. Amazing. The riffs in here are so fucking catchy. The title track, the Outre ones, I love that riff. The last track on this record is Starless Darkness. Are riffs that'll get stuck in my head for days.
Luciferus.
Yep, Luciferus. Yep. Ex Nihilio. Yep. I love this album from start to finish. This is a brilliant album. I can't wait to see what these dudes do next. Nor can I wait to see these guys live again.
And last but not least for me was my favorite surprise of 420. I didn't even know this album was in production, and in the age of the internet, how the hell do you keep anything a fucking secret?
Right.
Sleeps the Sciences. Holy fucking shit. This was probably one of the best straight up stoner metal albums I have heard. And I mean, I knew it would be. It's fucking Matt Pike doing what he does best, smoking a fuck ton of weed and riffing. And holy shit, it's great. I didn't... And this was so cool because it was a surprise. Like, I don't think anyone expected to ever see a Sleep album.
Right.
They were just doing tours, like, we're going to play fucking Dope Smoker.
Let alone for the fact it was released on 420.
Yeah.
I mean...
100% deliberate on that one.
Right.
Call it a hunch.
Here's a... Oh, you're going to get stoned today? Well, guess what? Here's a Sleep album.
But yeah, like, this is a fantastic album. I fucking love it. It's Marijuana Nuts theme, Giza Butler. They're you know, puns aplenty. It's all about weed. Once again, fantastic fucking album. Love it.
All right, once again, that would be the end of our individual album releases for the top 25 for the year of 2018. Please let us know what you thought. Please, of course, let us know if we left anything out, if you have any great recommendations for us. As you can see behind us, there is a massive wall of metal. Please don't let anything slip by us, because we would love to hear it too.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
Yep.
And of course, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and keep shit fucking metal.